What's up, guys, and welcome back to the FCS Football channel. And here we are for the match look ahead for the Manchester United versus Spurs game. Now, that is obviously tomorrow at 5:30 kickoff, so we'll be live at about 5 o'clock for the watch along. So please do tune in for that. Be there or be square. Make sure you are notified when we go live, as well as just having everything in your subscription box. Please hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. Like I said, you'll get notified when we go live. What's not to love about hitting the subscribe button, I suppose. When it comes to this game, though, Manchester United come into this game off of the back of a 1-0 win in our opening game of the season. We obviously beat Wolves 1-0. Rafael Varane scored the goal. It was a great cross from Wan-Bissaka in what was a game where United did get a little bit lucky, to say the least, didn't they? We didn't play great. We really, really didn't. And on another day, we would have dropped points. That penalty appeal in the last minute against Andre Onana. Now, dubious, we'll say, to say the least. Probably should have been a penalty. So United did get lucky. But even that aside, we didn't play well. Wolves squandered a lot of good chances, which, if we give this to the Spurs team, we won't be quite as lucky. Coming into this game, Manchester United do sit 7th, Tottenham in 9th, 2 points splitting them. We're one game into the season, so this table means essentially nothing really. However, it's nice to be 7th, nice to have 3 points. But like I say, it means very little to nothing, in truth. Looking at our games against Spurs last season, so our most recent game was this 2-2 draw with Spurs. It was in April. Sancho and Rashford opened the scoring for United, but Pedro Porro and Heung-min Son drew Spurs level. Obviously, this was a game at the the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is obviously where we're playing in this game. And if you remember this game, it was a bipolar performance from United. That first half, we blew Spurs away. We were by far and away better than them. Second half, United just didn't come out, really. It was such a weird change in performance. We didn't come out. We didn't really play out our best at all. And Spurs got 2 deserved goals. And in the end, we were holding on to a point. However, when you look at the first game we played against them last season, we beat them 2-0. Fred and Bruno Fernandes getting the goals. And that was one of our best performances of the season. It really, really was. We were seeing a lot of the things we expected and we expect to see from an Erik ten Hag side. And we're really hoping for a performance much closer to the one that we saw at Old Trafford against Spurs than the one we saw at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Spurs. When looking at team news for both sides today, we'll start with Spurs. It still says Wolves, but it should say Spurs. So when it comes to league position, as we mentioned, they sit in 9th, having drawn their last game against Brentford 2-2 with Pedro Royal and who else scored? What him and Son? Christian Romero, wasn't it? It was Romero from the free kick. Obviously, James Maddison, new signing, new vice captain as well at Spurs. Got that number 10 shirt. He's one of the 3 key players I've listed. He got 2 assists in that game. He looks a very good signing. Obviously brings that leadership qualities that Ange Postecoglou was looking for. Already been appointed vice captain, shows that. But he's going to be a very big, very, very important player for Spurs this season and in this game. Now, Sergio Romero and Rodrigo Bentancur, they are 2 key players for them that have got injuries. Bentancur is definitely unavailable for this game with that knee injury. However, Percy Romero or Christian Romero, now he was subbed off after that goal in the Brentford game. However, the reports are that he is potentially going to be fit and available to play today. Well, tomorrow, I should say. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully, for Manchester United's sake, Christian Romero is not fit, and we'll have to see someone like a Davinson Sanchez play instead, because Christian Romero is a very good centre-half. Very aggressive centre-half as well. And we just don't want that. We don't need an aggressive centre-half second game of the season. We don't need that. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the key players for me for Spurs today are Heung-min Son, James Maddison and Yves Bissouma. For me, you look at Heung-min Son, he's their goal threat. He is the man they're going to look at and rely on for goals this season. Now Harry Kane is gone. He's their captain, and he's going to be massively important for anything Spurs do. He is probably their best player at this point. James Maddison, like I said, I already kind of touched upon him. A very, very creative player. A set-piece specialist. Playing alongside Oliver Skipp and Yves Bissouma in that midfield. I think that is a midfield full of quality and a midfield that is very, very dangerous for Spurs. Looking at the team I believe they will play, I think they'll go for pretty much the exact same team they played against Brentford. So that would be Vicario in goal, Emerson Royale, Christian Romero, Van Ven, and Undogi in a back four. Oliver Skipp and Yves Bissouma playing in the midfield double pivot. Both of them very capable of taking the ball off the back line. Good press resistance on both of them. And will allow that defence, will constantly give that defence an option in midfield, which is obviously very, very helpful and is exactly how Ange Postecoglou wants to play his football. And in that front line, Heung-min Son, James Maddison, Dejan Kulusevski and Richarlison. It's kind of the only front three you can see from this Spurs team. Manuel Solomon could potentially play. I don't think he will. I think he will go with the same team that we saw against Brentford. That played very, very well against Brentford. Yes, they didn't get the win. However, dominating possession at the G-Tech Stadium. More shots, same shots on target. It was a very, very good performance from a Spurs team that are in transition, are going from a defensive style under Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, and I'd argue even Nuno Espirito Santo, to a more attacking, expressive style under Ange Postecoglou. It will take time, but I think we're already starting to see kind of the cogs turning in this Spurs team under Ange, and I think Spurs fans will be very happy with that performance against Brentford and will be looking forward to this game. Now, when it comes to Manchester United, we have got some players missing. So, Lisandro Martinez, he obviously came off against Wolves with an injury at half-time. He has been in training, so it looks like he will be available. Ahmad and Malacia are both still out. While Højlund doesn't look like he will be available just yet. However, the good news is Anthony Martial, he was on the bench and was an unused substitute against Wolves. Looks like he will be available to start should Erik ten Hag want to start him, which is of course very, very good news for Manchester United this season. Now, when it comes to the teams I think Manchester United will play, when it comes to the Erik ten Hag side, this is the team I believe he will go with. I think he will go with essentially what he did against Wolves. So that'll be Andre Onana in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Rafael Varane, Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw. Casemiro and Mason Mount in that midfield double pivot with a front three of Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes and Antony in behind Marcus Rashford. Now, I think if we go over to this screen, we put Rashford in. And Wan-Bissaka. I think we will try and play the same way in which we did against against Brentford. There we go. So it will be Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes pushing in there. From build up, Lisandro Martinez will push in and it will become a free. However, once the ball's forward, I think Lisandro Martinez will probably drop back in and we'll see Luke Shaw invert / overlap. And I think it's so important in this game that whether that's Luke Shaw, whether that's Lisandro Martinez, or even Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes, they have to give Casemiro support in that midfield. If you watch the Wolves game, you'd have seen the amount of times Casemiro is left on his own in that middle and he simply just gets overrun. We can't allow that to happen in this game because you look at this Spurs team, that, especially you look at James Maddison, you give him space, Heung-min Son and Kulusevski will come into that space as well. You give these players time on the ball to create, they're going to be very, very dangerous. So whoever that is moving into midfield when Mason Mount pushes forward, they have to be there and supporting him. Because if Mason Mount pushes forward, so does Bruno Fernandes, and Casemiro does get left in this space all alone, the likes of James Maddison will cause a lot of problems for United. And if Wolves can cause as many issues as they did, imagine a team like this Spurs team and what they can do. United have to be very, very careful. I'm alright. I'm good, NG. How are you, my guy? Why? What? Did you not go to bed naked? I mean, that's something I never thought I'd be saying either. In a look ahead for the game, did not expect to be saying that. What's happened? What's happened there, lad? What has happened there? Why you comment? I'm gonna try and refocus on this. I'm looking out at your stream with my lad. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. That's all I've got to say. So Wan-Bissaka, I'm interested to see how he gets onto that. I didn't think he played badly against Wolves. Obviously, he was the man that got the assist for Rafael Varane's goal. However, I do think he does limit Manchester United in a sense. I think Erik ten Hag will use him to help combat Heung-min Son on the left-hand side. However, for me, I think if you want your fullbacks to invert, whether that's Shaw or Wan-Bissaka, if not both, you need someone more technically sound than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think on the ball, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. And I've always said that. However, there's no doubt Diogo Dalot is a much better passer and creator than Aaron Wan-Bissaka is. And just is a technically superior player. Wan-Bissaka might be a better defender, and as an overall right back, you can obviously take your pick on which one you prefer. Technically, Dalot is better. And when you have your fullback invert, like Wan-Bissaka will have to do at times, you want that more technical, superior player, in my opinion. However, like I say, I think we will see Wan-Bissaka simply for that to try and combat the damage in which Heung-min Son can put on us. I think Alejandro Garnacho was used in the last game against Wolves, was pretty poor. Sancho came on, I thought he was the better out of the two. And I think simply for that, we will see Jadon Sancho start. And against the Spurs team that will play high, will play in the halfway line, look to properly play under Ange Postecoglou, not just because that's his philosophy, but also it's his first home game. The Spurs fans are going to want to see a team playing on the halfway line, playing attacking football. I do think we'll go with Marcus Rashford for those balls in behind, giving him something to run onto. However, if I'm the manager, this is the team I would go with if I was Erik ten Hag. I would go with I would go with this pretty much the same team. However, I would drop Antony and I'll drop Wan-Bissaka for Antony, Martial, and Diogo Dalot. Now, I think I just made the argument as to why I would use Diogo Dalot over Wan-Bissaka, just for, again, those times when we do push forward, Dalot is able to come inside and invert much better. Two-footed. I think that Diogo Dalot works in this role a little bit better. And Martial, I think he's just better at number 9 than Marcus Rashford is. If it wasn't for Martial's availability issues, this wouldn't even be a debate. But the issue is obviously his availability. It's 2 a.m. here, and I just saw you live, so just thought saying hi. Fair enough. I'm glad you're tuning in at 2 a.m. I'm not sure how you've woken up naked, and you seem surprised by that, which I don't understand. Why are you surprised by that? But when it comes to Martial, you can play long to him. He can hold the ball and he can give off to the likes of Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, even Mason Mount when he gets forward. I think he just makes us a more cohesive team. Plus, what I like about Martial is he can drop into that number 10 role where Mason Mount could occupy, which would allow Luke Shaw to kind of overlap. And Marcus Rashford can then make this run in here. And all of a sudden, you've got a back three like that. Probably where Lisandro Martinez and Varane probably in the positions they want to be if they are going to be playing in a back three. And then Diogo Dalot can get forward, can invert into a 3. Obviously, they can become a 2. While Mason Mount is obviously able to give Casemiro that support he needs, like we saw in the Wolves game. So I just think, as a team, the group works much better with Anthony Martial up top. Because obviously, as I just said, he can do that. Mason Mount can come in, Luke Shaw can drop in, and we still have that wonderful 3 at the back. Or, obviously, you can have Lisandro Martinez push in there like that. I just feel there's so many more options with Martial, and he's just, like I say, can hold the ball up, so on and so forth, much better than Marcus Rashford. And like I say, I find, like I've said for years, Marcus Rashford is best starting on the left, where he's able to cut inside and make those runs in between centre backs and full backs, and when he's 1v1 with someone, as opposed to having 4 or 5 players on his back. I think this gives the opportunity for Marcus Rashford to have his best game. And Marcus Rashford at his best is a very, very important player for Manchester United. Jadon Sancho, I would start over Antony. Again, Jadon Sancho can come inside and play, which allows Bruno Fernandes at times to come outside. It would allow, theoretically, if Mason Mount came forward, you could have Casemiro and Bruno drop. Dalot comes forward. Jadon Sancho then can operate in that number 10 role. I think Jadon Sancho is a more versatile player than Antony. Plus, Antony, I don't think was great against Wolves. Whereas I think Jadon Sancho came on and had more of an impact. So that's why I would like to see that. Plus, and this still shocks me, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, and Jadon Sancho have never started as a front three together in a proper game. We saw it last pre-season and they were great, but never in a proper game, because Martial's always been injured, or obviously we signed Antony and he pretty much primarily played off the right last season. I want to see it. Show me it, Erik ten Hag. Please show me it. Um, Personally, feel we shouldn't have sold off Fred until we got Amrabat, but Ten Hag values McTominay over Fred. I don't understand, but what I don't get about the sale of Fred is McTominay isn't that we might value him in terms of price over Fred, but clearly Erik Ten Hag prefers Fred because Fred was our third most used outfield player last season. I'm pretty sure after Rashford and Bruno. Fred got so many minutes for us last year. So I don't understand why we let go of Fred when we were rejecting 25-30 million for McTominay. Especially, as you say, we haven't got Amrabat in. For me, Amrabat, and I think we should have went and got Amrabat and Onana from Everton and sell both Fred and McTominay, and I think we've upgraded on both. But for some reason, we haven't. I had a shower at 10 p.m. and slept since. Anyway, I agree. It was just, I was shocked that you said it originally, and then it was just how you sounded shocked by it as well. We don't talk about him. We do not talk about that man. The thing is, because I've come to the conclusion he will be part of the squad again come the end of this season. I'm not going to enjoy having to talk about him. And the number one reason I'm against the return of Greenwood is the position it puts Manchester United fans in, like myself. We shouldn't have to sit here and be like, if Greenwood comes back, do we support him? Do we celebrate his goals? What do we do if he does come back? We shouldn't have to be put through that. Whether or not you think he should come back or not, I'll leave that up to you. I'm in one of the, I believe in second chances, and in that sense, should a teenager that made a horrific mistake, which he should have known better, should he be allowed back? I don't know. That is a tricky situation. He should be allowed a second chance, but at the same time, should he be allowed to be a role model? Footballers are role models. And what's his punishment? And I think that's part of my big issue. If he'd been to prison, served his time, came back, I think I would still be in a should he come back, but I think I'd be more accepting of it, because then there is a sense of redemption that can be had, and say, look, yeah, I was wrong. I hold my hand up what I've done wrong, but I'm trying to be better, sort of thing. But because he wasn't convicted of anything, because it was just charges dropped, it is just a sweep under the carpet, it never happened situation, which really, really puts me off. Because we all know what happened. There's going to be no accountability there. There's going to be no, it's not a redemption or a second chance. It is just, from how it played out, these were false accusations. This never happened. And supporting that is something I can't get on board with. If that makes sense. Hat-trick against Liverpool, I like how... No. But that's the sort of thing, like, let's say Greenwood does play, scores a hat-trick against Liverpool, wins us the game. What are we meant to do? Like, I don't want to celebrate a goal from him, but then I want to celebrate us beating Liverpool. Like, how can the club put us fans in that sort of situation? And obviously that's not even mentioning what's going on with the women's teams and how they must all feel. I don't see how we can have him back. But I think we will. Unfortunately. I've been kind of sidetracked. Unfortunately, that is the case in football. I think, what's his name? Something Strachan. NG, come on, lad. Come on. Not on. Is it Gordon Strachan? Yeah, Gordon Strachan. At the Brazil World Cup, I believe it was. I think he kind of summed up situations like this pretty perfectly. There is no morals in football. We've seen players that have done horrific things get championed. So there is no morals in football, and that's the only reason why Greenwood's coming back, because we don't care. We see a player that is probably 21 at this point and had the world at his feet, and we still believe he's going to be a world beater. And we care about that more than anything else, which I think is really sad. But we'll wrap this look ahead up. So it's going to be a tough game. Spurs are a good side under Ange Postecoglou, a very different Spurs side to the one we saw under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte in the last few years. They are going to look to try and play on the front foot, which I think at times will probably benefit Manchester United, because in transition on the counter-attack, Manchester United are lightning with players like Marcus Rashford, which again plays to our advantage. That Vicario in goal for Spurs, he's a young guy. I think he looks a little bit shaky. And again, hope United can capitalise on that. It's a Spurs team that are looking to change the way they are playing. I think there will be mistakes. And I believe Manchester United can capitalise on that. I think United can win this game. We definitely should be looking to try and win this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Manchester United win. There we go. But to be fair, I don't know. I would love to be 4, but especially after the Wolves game, I'm trying to keep expectations low. I'll take a 2-0 away at Spurs, though. Man City are still yet to ever score there at the new stadium. So, scoring 2 goals, I'll take that. But look, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please hit that like button below. Subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. A little bit longer than I expected, to be honest. About half an hour. But it's been good fun. The Premier League, obviously, there is a game tonight in about quarter of an hour. That is not Sheffield United versus Nottingham Forest. So tune in for that. Go watch that if you guys want. I will not be live for it, but enjoy it if you're gonna watch it. Like I said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one in a bit.